For the latest in strategic affairs, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the bell icon for updates. This is StratNewsGlobal. I'm Amitabh, Revi, and we are joined today by the Ambassador of Romania to India, Daniela-Ţane. Ambassador, thank you so much for giving us time. We just wanted to tell our audience, Romania, of course, has been part of NATO since 2004. The position that Romania has taken vis-a-vis what's happening in Europe.
Romania, of course, it's very much concerned about the events. We are a close neighbor. We are a neighbor of Ukraine, and we condemn in the strongest possible terms, along with the EU countries and along with NATO countries, the Russian aggression. It is an aggression. Whatever you want to present it, it's a state which is invading another state, trying to get by force a change of government. So this is totally unacceptable.
Could you tell us the situation within Romania in dealing with what's happening? There must be hundreds of thousands of refugees who are trying to come in, right?
So the situation is very dire, not only in Romania. The worst situation is at the Poland border, where there were hundreds of thousands of refugees. I mean, in total, according to the information I have from yesterday evening, there were about more than 300,000, 3 lakh people trying to cross the borders from Ukraine into the neighboring countries. Romania received something like 70,000 refugees. Here you have everybody, meaning Ukrainian people, Indian students, which were very much of concern for India, of course, it's natural, but also citizens from other countries. I mean, we have Nepali citizens, Nepali students who want to be evacuated. We have citizens from Arab countries. You have students from many countries which were stuck in Kiev. I just read that our embassy was evacuated yesterday from Kiev, and the consulate in Odessa.
You talked about the Romanian government. Both your president, the other officials, including your defense minister, have also condemned the Russian aggression, as you put it. Is there any worry in Romania itself of it spilling over the conflict?
You know, anything is possible. Probably the closest country to worry would be Moldova, probably Poland. Georgia, because they are into Russian eyesight. But of course we are worried. I mean, as you might have read, Putin threatened even with the nuclear weapons as a deterrent. But anything can happen. It's very difficult to make predictions for the current situation. You know that EU took unprecedented sanctions. Romania joined those sanctions. We banned Russian aircraft from our space. EU banned Russian access to SWIFT to make bank transfers. There are a wide range of sanctions which are taken against Russia. We are coordinating also with US, with Canada, and with Australia.
Romania itself, apart from helping with refugees who are trying to escape, is also helping Ukraine directly. I mean, you offered, I think, over $1 million or $3 million of aid, military equipment,
yes,
helmets. Could you tell us a bit about that?
We offered more than 3 million euro, not dollars, defensive materials, defensive weapons, and medicines, food.
Yeah.
And also we are assisting the Ukrainian refugees coming on our land. There are camps created in close to the border crossing points, and there are also the Romanian population is helping on ad hoc basis everybody coming. I mean, we had families offering support, offering them to lodge for free. The Ukrainian families, there are mainly women and children, because men, they had stayed home to fight the Russian aggression. I want to emphasize on this because I didn't see it much in the Indian press. It's not presented as an aggression. It is not presented at all I mean, the emphasis is only on the
Students, maybe.
yes, on the plight of Indian students, but it's not. We have to have a wider humanitarian approach. You have to see the bigger picture. Of course, the Indian students are part of this, and it's very unfortunate. These are kids which are facing a war situation, but this war situation is due to the actions of Putin. To nobody else's fault.
When you talk about the larger picture, ma'am, in terms of Romania in NATO, that's the difference between, say, Ukraine and a country like Romania. You have bases there. The Americans have promised to bring in more troops. France is also providing Germany. Could you elaborate a little bit more on that in terms of Romania as part of NATO and EU?
Yes, Romania is part of NATO, and in this capacity, we have an anti-missile base in the Veselu, which Russians were very much anxious about it. This anti-missile base is on totally defensive purposes, and it was NATO, Romania's presence, membership of NATO, as well as the other like the Baltic countries, the ex-communist countries, Poland, Hungary, which became part of NATO. It was not against Russia. NATO is a defensive alliance. It's not an offensive alliance. NATO cannot attack Russia. Now cannot help Ukraine attacking Russia. So this has to be very clearly. The anti-missile base, it's an anti-missile. It's against attacks with missiles, preventing attacks from outside of the European soils on European soil. It is as simple as that. So accusing NATO, it's a pretext and this fear of NATO by President Putin is a pretext, in my opinion.
Do you see anything, because there are reports of the Ukrainians and the Russians talking on the Belarus border. Do you see any way out of this?
Not for the time being, unfortunately. I mean, there were talks before the invasion which didn't lead to anything.
So many rounds, so many people involved at the top level.
It helped Putin gain time and prepare better on the invasion. I don't know. Unfortunately, I'm not very optimistic now. I hope the reason will prevail and the humanity will prevail. And I hope the economic sanctions which are unprecedented economic sanction against Russia will make Putin change his mind.
And considering those sanctions also impose costs on the European Union, on the US, on Romania itself, and gas. I mean, you depend on Russia so much for energy, right?
Yes, Romania depends less than other EU countries, but we are in this, all of us. I mean, even India will be affected. The global effect of this will be probably bigger than the pandemic. It's a very bad moment. I mean, there is never a good moment for a war, but we need to find ways to get out of this situation. Yes, Europe is dependent of Russian gas. We will find other ways to have other supplies of energy. I mean, it's a pity we are pushed towards the wall. Putin played this card, unfortunately, but we will have to find solutions.
Ambassador, could you explain the dynamics with Moldova? Because Romania and Moldova have historical ties, linguistic ties, and that could, many say, is also on the radar of the Russian president.
Moldova was a province, part of Romania in the history. I mean, there is half of Moldova is in Romania. The historical province was bigger. The Romanian Moldova and the current Moldova were a whole province. Like you have in India Punjab, which was part after the partition. Part of Punjab is in Pakistan. So after the Second World War, Moldova became part of the Soviet Union, and After the 1990, when Moldova became independent, there is this Transnistria Strip, where there is a separatist movement with Russian connections, and probably the biggest fear is that this will be the next step if the war will continue.
Right. You mentioned India.
And also, what I wanted to say, Moldova is somehow the current government of Moldova is somehow in the same situation as the current government of Ukraine, meaning it's a pro-European government. So this is something that disturbs President Putin.
You mentioned India. What is Romania's position, or if you would like to comment on how India has to deal with both the strategic partnership with Russia and the US?
I think here there is no more a matter of choice. It's a matter of principles of international law, of respecting the most basic principle of international law, the inviolability of the borders. So if we start putting under discussion this principle, the world is not going into the right direction.
So you feel India should be taking a stronger stand?
Yes, I think it is necessary.
आप तो हिंदी बहुत अच्छा बोलती हैं, शायद 30 साल से ज़्यादा आप
30 साल पहले मैंने हिंदी सीखा आगरा में केंद्रीय हिंदी संस्थान.
जी, आपको कोई do you want to give a message to the Indian parents and students who are stuck there and are hoping for help?
I feel very sorry for the poor
चाहे
kids.
आप हिंदी में कह सकते हैं, अगर चाहे तो.
Yeah, I feel very sorry. The parents are stressed up. They are home, and for them it's a very long wait. But the situation of the children is not easy neither, because it's winter still in Europe, and they are outside or hidden. I've read under metro stations, in dire conditions, in bunkers. It's cold. I really hope everybody will come back home safely.
You have some information that would help them in terms of if they are trying to come through Romania.
Yes, so Indian students or citizens coming to Romanian borders, they don't need a visa. They will be allowed to enter. The ones who have lost their documents, they have to approach the Indian embassy to provide them with travel documents. And if they want to organize themselves evacuation flights, or to buy commercial flights, they don't want to wait for the evacuation flights organized by the Indian government, they should inform the Indian embassy
first
in Bucharest, or wherever if they are in Hungary, if they are in Poland, because the Indian embassies in the neighboring countries, they are coordinating the evacuation, and it's important that they know where those people are and what they have decided to do.
Ambassador Ţane, absolute pleasure. I know you're very busy with your leadership, our leadership, everyone talking. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Namaste.
And you can give us your feedback on this interview and all our other interviews. This is StratNewsGlobal. I'm Amitabh, Revi.